Namo Buddhaya. Good evening. Welcome to Buddha Dharma TV. I am Nidarsha Kurtuwaku from Toronto, Canada. We begin our program paying a homage briefly to the Supreme Buddha.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato
Many people do not see how Buddhist philosophy can relate to daily life or how it can provide practical solutions. They often think Buddhism is only about reaching nirvana, which is a total misconception. Now, Venerable Dr. Bhante Punaji, a renowned Buddhist philosopher, will speak on the topic Buddhism as Religion. This is part 1 of his extended talk.
In discussing Buddhism as a religion, we have 7 headings to discuss. So every day we'll have one heading, I suppose. Sometimes one heading we'll have to spend 2 days, but we'll see how long it will take. The first heading is Introduction. And in that introduction, we are going to talk about the difference between magic and religion as an evolutionary process. And the next heading that we are going to talk about is evolution. Here we are talking about the biological evolution, which is the evolution of man, how the human being came into being. And then after that, we go on to talk about how the human being evolves further. Because according to the biological evolution, human being is the highest evolved animal. And we are going beyond that. How a human being can evolve to the level of Superman. And not only that, even going beyond the level of Superman to the sublime one, the sublime individual. So that part, the evolution of man, is a psychological thing, not just a biological thing. That means that it is not the evolution of the body, but the evolution of the mind. So that is what this means, evolution. And here we are also going to talk about theology. Now, when you begin to study a religion like Christianity, there is what is called theology, which is to study the meaning of God. God there, it's very important to understand, because most Buddhists think that Buddhists don't believe in God. Now this is very important, and because some people say the Buddhists don't believe in God and therefore they are atheistic. Those who believe in God are called theists. It is coming from a Latin word, theist. And those who don't believe in God are called atheists. So some think that Buddhism is atheistic. But what I am going to show you is that is not true. Buddhists do believe in gods of different kinds that we'll be talking about. And there is also the theistic and humanistic ways of defining God. And then we come to cosmology. Cosmos is the universe. Today the astronomers talk about the universe. Of course, there is another subject called astrology. Astrology is simply trying to foretell the future or talk about the past using this the various planets and the solar system and all that. But the scientific study of the universe is astronomy, not astrology. It is astronomy. So we'll be talking about that. And then we have another subject called eschatology. Now this is a word that Christians use, eschatology. Now eschatology means study of what is coming after death. What happens after death? And here we are talking about the concept of karma, rebirth, samsara, and the different realms of existence. That is what we talk about when we talk about eschatology. Then another word is soteriology. Soteriology is also a Christian word. And soteriology is talking about salvation of man. So we also talk about the salvation of man, and that is to talk about nirvana, what we call nirvana. And then, of course, we also have a subject called conclusion. And in conclusion, we are talking about Buddhism as a religion, and it is the most advanced religion in the world. As we begin to talk about it as a religion, but we are talking about Buddhism not as a separate religion. We see the unity of all religions, and then we begin to talk about Buddhism as the highest point in the evolution of religion. Religion is also a thing that is evolving. And Buddhism is at the highest point in the evolution of religion. And this is why Buddhism is never an ancient thing. It is always modern. Buddhism cannot be treated as something primitive or ancient. Although the Buddha lived more than 2,500 years ago, or more than 25 centuries ago, but still it is modern because it is in agreement with all the modern thoughts, modern philosophies, and modern thinking of all kinds. So this is why we are trying to show with these various pictures and talking about modern science to show that the scientists, modern scientists, when they discover new things, these new things have been already spoken of by the Buddha. So the teachings of the Buddha is always new. There is nothing old about the teachings of the Buddha. So then, of course, we talk about what is religion. So that is what we are going to talk about today. What is religion? That is, before we even talk about the introduction, we are talking about the beginning that comes even before the introduction. We are trying to define the word religion. What is religion? So when we talk about what is religion, it is very important to understand that there are two kinds of religions in the world today. So when I talk about two kinds of religion, you can think of normally people begin to think of polytheism and monotheism. But we are not talking about just polytheism and monotheism. We are talking about theistic religion and humanistic religion. There are two kinds of religions in the world, theistic and humanistic. It is the theistic religions that can be divided into two as monotheism and polytheism. All the religions that are found today in the West, originating really in the Middle East, these are Judaism, Christianity and Islam. They are all based on the Bible. And these religions are supposed to be monotheistic. Monotheistic means they believe in one God, the Creator who is understood to be the Creator of the world. Polytheistic religions were there even before this monotheism came. And these polytheistic religions are religions that worship many gods. There is the God for love or romance, and gods for education, learning, then a god for sicknesses, medicines, and like that for different purposes, they have different gods. That is polytheistic religion. But they are all coming under one name as theistic religion. But when we talk about humanistic religion, we are talking about Buddhism only. Buddhism is the purely humanistic religion. That is important to understand. There have been other religions in India like Hinduism, Jainism and all that, but for the Hindu, there is also polytheism and there is also monotheism in Hinduism. And the Hindus also believe in a creator God, and that creator is called Brahma. Brahma. And but there is a difference between the Western religions and Hinduism. Although they talk about the Creator, still that Creator God with the capital G is explained in a different way. Now, before we get into a detailed study of that, we get into the definition of the word religion. Now, there are definitions given by the Oxford Dictionary and also the Webster's Dictionary. The Webster's Dictionary is mainly an American dictionary, and the Oxford Dictionary is a British dictionary. So the Oxford Dictionary defines religion as the belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal God or many gods. The Creator God or the many gods. Another definition is the service and worship of God or the supernatural. Merriam-Webster's Dictionary. The Oxford Dictionary and Webster's Dictionary, the definition is very similar because they are both based on the Western type of religion. Now, these dictionaries also define the words theism and humanism. And theism is belief in the existence of gods or gods, specifically of a creator who intervenes in the universe. And the Webster's Dictionary defines theism as belief in the existence of gods and gods, specifically belief in the existence of one God viewed as the creator and source of the human race and the world, human race and the world, who transcends yet is immanent in the world. Now these two words, transcendence and immanence. Transcendence means it is not associated with the world. So that this God is not associated with the world, different from the world. Immanence means this God is somehow in the world. So these are not real, it's illogical to say that, but they believe that we can talk about God in both ways, as transcendent and also immanent. That means that God is outside the world and God is inside the world at the same time. Then these dictionaries also define humanism, a rationalist outlook or system of thought attaching prime importance to the human rather than divine or supernatural matters. That's how the Oxford Dictionary defines it. When the Webster Dictionary says a doctrine, attitude or way of life centered on human interests or values, especially a philosophy that usually rejects supernaturalism and stresses an individual's dignity and worth and the capacity of self-realization through reason. That is the Merriam-Webster's Dictionary. What this means is that humanism is talking about the importance of the human being and what the human being can do and what are the human being's problems and how can that problem be solved. That is humanistic religion. But theistic religions are talking about God, not about the human being. That God had the desire to create the world, He created the world and He has a problem because the creatures who have been created by the God has become disobedient to God. That is His problem. And now he is very angry and he wants to correct the situation by threatening the human beings with hell, that they will be thrown into hell if they don't obey the Creator. Now that kind of religion. So religion is simply to become obedient to God and follow God's laws. So that is what religion is for the theist. But religion for the humanist means the human being has a problem. And that problem is that every human being has to die. This is the biggest problem. If you don't die after growing old, you will die. You can die even when you are young. You can die even immediately after birth, or maybe even before birth, while in the mother's womb. So death can come at any moment. And this is a problem for the human being. Because no one wants to die. They celebrate birthdays, but they mourn death. They like to be born, but no one wants to die, unless those who want to commit suicide. But even that is done because that person has problems in life and cannot solve the problem other than to die. You see, this is the human being's problem. And so the human being tries to overcome or solve this problem through the practice of religion. But when you begin to examine both ways of thinking, you'll see that both theists as well as humanists are trying to solve the same problem. Because the theists, they are thinking of a thing called heaven that you can go to. If you become obedient to God, you can go to heaven. And if you ask what is heaven, they'll say heaven is a place where there is eternal life and eternal happiness. Why do they want eternal life and eternal happiness? Because they have a problem that everything in the world is impermanent. Every happiness is impermanent. And every life is impermanent. And therefore there is death and suffering. So ultimately the humanist is also thinking of that same problem, death and impermanence. So you see, ultimately it is the same problem that everyone is trying to solve. So it's very important to understand this. Now, we said that there are two types of theistic religions, polytheism and monotheism. And so when we talk about the humanistic definition of religion, the theistic definition of religion, I told you, it is being obedient to God because he's trying to satisfy God's problem or solve God's problem. Now, for the humanist, religion is an effort to solve the human problem. And the human problem is solved through the practice of religion, through the process of evolution of the human being. The human being can solve the problem only through the process of evolution. And there were some Western philosophers who began to draw attention to this problem. They are called the existential philosophers. And they began to realize, although they have drawn attention to the problem, they don't know how to solve the problem. So one man who was a Christian, he was criticizing Christianity, and he said that it is irrational. But still, when he began to think about the solution to the problem of life and death, what happened was that he couldn't find a solution, and he said the human intelligence is not able to solve this problem because you cannot stop death. So the only thing is to take the leap of faith. Now, leap of faith means, because he criticized Christianity and said that it is irrational, now the only way to solve the problem is to drop the idea that it is irrational and take a blind faith and ask God to solve the problem. So only God can solve the problem. That's what he thought. There are, of course, some other existential philosophers who didn't want to accept the idea of God as the creator of the world. And they said the only other solution is for the human being to grow up and evolve, become more and more mature in their thinking, and the human being will someday be able to solve the problem. But they never found the real solution to the problem. But it was the Buddha, long before the Westerners came to know about this problem, or even to try to solve it, long before that, about 2000 years before, the Westerners began to think about it. The Buddha solved the problem and brought the solution to others and taught others how to solve. Because this problem cannot be solved by one individual. The problem has to be solved by each individual for himself or herself. That's the problem. So one individual cannot solve other people's problems on a mass scale. So it cannot be done on a mass scale. It has to be done individually by each person. Now, we talk about the disadvantages of the theistic definition of religion and the advantages of the humanistic definition of religion. The theistic definition appears to be blasphemous. I use this word blasphemous, which is a word coming from Christianity. Blasphemous means it is an insult It is an insult to religion. The definition of religion is an insult to religion, I said. Why? Because if religion is defined as the belief and worship of supernatural beings and gods and devils, then that is seen to be something primitive by the modern people, and therefore that religion is thrown away. So the modern people will throw away religion, and by throwing away religion, there are some good things that religion also brings to human beings. And that good thing is mainly pointing out what is good and bad, the distinction between good and bad, the values of life, not the material values, but the spiritual values or religious values. And that when you throw away religion, you are throwing away those values also. And when you throw away the values, it is like throwing the baby with the bath water. You know what that means is, if you have been bathing the child, after bathing the child in a tub of water, you throw the water out by throwing the water, but when you throw the water, the baby is also thrown out. So it is a thing like that. The values are also thrown out when you throw out religion. So people are concerned about this, especially the theistic religions. The wise men are worried about this. And so some people try to solve that problem by trying to attack modern science, because it is modern science that threw away religion. They are trying to attack modern science, but they cannot attack modern science. They are trying to do the impossible. So, there was a time when I was invited to participate in a Buddhist-Christian dialogue, and I had to make a speech there, presentation. So I ended up by saying that the only way to solve this problem is not to try to attack science or even to defend the dogmas or the primitive dogmas of religion. Instead of doing that, we should try to start thinking in a humanistic way. And the only religion that is really thinking in the humanistic way is Buddhism. But that doesn't mean that we should give up other religions and become Buddhists. Instead of doing that, you can have your own religion, but try to look at it from a humanistic point of view instead of a theistic point of view. And it is only by doing that that we can solve this problem. So somehow the point here is that such a problem has been created by defining religion as the belief in and worship of a God. So, because of this, the humanistic definition is a better definition of religion, where for the humanist, the humanistic definition of religion is that religion is a human concept And God is also a human concept. And God is seen as one who is perfect in knowledge, perfect in powers, and perfect in goodness. Omniscient, omnipotent, and omnibenevolent. Those are the words they use. If God is perfect in all these things, modern philosophers say, how can this perfect being create an imperfect world? So they have no proper answer for that. They are trying to blame the human being. They cannot blame the human being because if there is something wrong with the Ford car, who is to be blamed? Not the car. You can't just blame the car and break the car or do something like that. You have to blame the maker of the car. That is, either you blame Henry Ford or maybe the modern people who are making the Ford car. So whoever it is, the blame should go to the maker. And therefore, ultimately, the blame should go not to the human being, but to God Himself.
Let's take a brief pause to enjoy a beautiful song called Let's Sing the Praises, a profoundly meaningful and spiritual uplifting hymn by O. Tech Ben.
Sing gladly, boys and maidens, your hymn of praise today. 'Tis right that children's voices should blend in sweetest lay. Oh, praise the holy teacher who found the root of pain, and by his life triumphant, the power of self has slain. The power of self has slain. Come sing, ye boys and maidens, your hymn to the Lord. It was for all his children, his wisdom he outpoured. Sing praises of the Master who found the holy way, which we will safely follow to everlasting day, to everlasting day. And when we sing his praises, remember we must strive by holy word and action to keep his faith alive. Oh, let us try to follow the holy path he found, with love and with compassion. All forms of life surround, all forms of life surround.
Next sermon is by Venerable Aya Teraka. The topic of her sermon is Wholesome Thoughts in Life. It includes a short guided meditation. This is directed at beginners. They're useful guidelines that are very much useful for beginners. Now, let us welcome Aya Teraka.
Now starting our guided meditation session. Please Sit comfortably. Let us practice our meditation session. Please sit comfortably. Relax your body. Relax your mind. Keep your body erect. Pay your proper attention to the posture. Please bring your mind to the present moment. I'm in the present moment. I'm here. Be aware of your sitting posture. I'm sitting. I'm sitting. Relax your body and mind. Pay attention to your head. See your head through your mind. Pay your attention to the head and see your head through your mind. See your hands. How keep your hands relax your mind. Then see your complete posture, head to toe, through your mind. See your complete posture, head to toe, through your mind. Pay your proper attention to the whole body, head to toe. See your whole body through your mind. Take a little break. Then we can move on to the Dhamma talk. Today I selected one of the suttas in Anguttara Nikaya. I'm sure you know very well this. In Anguttara Nikaya, the sutta name is Chara Sutta. Did you have heard about this sutta before? No. This is very good sutta. This sutta is mentioned in Anguttara Nikaya, Chatukka Nipata, the numerical discourses of the Buddha, the book of the fourth, or Chatukka Nipata. The name of the sutta is walking. The name of the sutta is walking. The word walking is very familiar for us. We know walking sitting, standing, lying down. We have 4 main postures. In this sutta, our great teacher Lord Buddha mentioned how to away from unwholesome thought, how to practice away from unwholesome thoughts. This is very, very important sutta for all of us. Here has mentioned lots of Dhamma facts, especially as a mendicant, as a practitioner, as a bhikkhu, what we should do and what we should practice in our day-to-day life. We all know very well, we always maintain 4 main postures in our day-to-day activities. What are those 4 postures? Walking, standing, sitting, and lying down. You should be fully aware of with these 4 postures according to Lord Buddha's teachings. In this sutta, our Lord Buddha mentioned bhikkhus, if a sensual thought, a thought of ill will or thought of harming arises in a bhikkhu while walking, and he tolerates it, does not abandon it, dispel it, terminate it, and obliterate it. Then that bhikkhu is said to be devoid of ardor and moral dread. He is constantly and continuously lazy and lacking in energy while walking. See that Dhamma point? This is very important. While you are walking, if you get a sensual thought or a thought of ill will or a thought of harming, then what we should do? What should we do? While you are walking, or while you are sitting, or while you are standing, or while you are lying down. If a sensual thought, a thought of ill will, or thought of harmful arises in your mind, then what should we do according to Lord Buddha's teachings? We have to give it up. We have to give it up. Why? If we deal with unwholesome thoughts like sensual thoughts or thought of ill will or thought of harmful, then we accumulate lots of bad karma. Why? That's why our Lord Buddha here mentioned you should not tolerate those kinds of bad thoughts. You should not tolerate. You have to reject. You have to reject. In Pali, here mentioned nadivaseti. Don't tolerate it. When unwholesome thoughts arise in your mind, sensual thoughts or thought of ill will or thought of harmful, if those thoughts arise in your mind, don't tolerate it. Give it up. Pajjahati. Nadivaseti. Pajjahati. Vinodeti. Vyanti karoti. Anabhavam gameti. You have to give it up. Why? Harmful thoughts is not beautiful. Anger thoughts, thoughts of ill will, not good for us, not good for others, not good for both. Then you should have to give it up. You have to get rid of it and eliminate it. Vyanti karoti. Eliminate it and obliterate it. You should have to obliterate it. Brings it to an end. This is very important. as a good practitioner, you have to keep in your mind those Dhamma points. When you are dealing with people, then sometimes you feel anger. And when you are dealing with people, sometimes you feel attachments, anger, attachments, delusion. Then what should we can do? According to this sutta, our great teacher Lord Buddha here mentioned, if he does not allow it to stay, don't tolerate it. Anger thoughts, when you get anger thoughts in your mind, don't tolerate it. But reject it. Reject. Quickly abandon it. Quickly abandon it. Get rid of it and brings it to an end. That practitioner who is energetic and afraid of wrongdoing is often and continually called energetic and firm in the goal of ultimate freedom, Nibbana. Let's see how to practice these Dhamma points in our day-to-day life. While we are walking, while we are sitting, standing, while you are doing our day-to-day activities, if you get unwholesome thoughts like sensual thoughts or thought of ill will or thought of harming, it means cruel thoughts. If you get cruel thoughts, don't tolerate. You don't tolerate. Why? If you keep those type of bad thoughts in your mind, then you are suffering. You are suffering. You are not free from anger. That's why our Lord Buddha here mentioned, when unwholesome thoughts arise in your mind, you should practice in these 5 ways. In these 5 ways. You should practice in these 5 ways. What are those 5 ways? You should have to keep in your mind. Don't tolerate it. Unwholesome thoughts when arises in your mind, don't tolerate it. See the danger of it. When we are dealing with anger, when we are dealing with lustful thoughts, see the danger of it. See the disadvantages of it. When we are dealing with anger, we accumulate bad karma. It means we will have to face bad consequences in the future. If you accumulate unwholesome thoughts, there are consequences, bad consequences. You know very well, every action has a reaction. Maybe your action may be good, then you will get good reactions. If your action is bad, then you will get bad reactions. That's why we should cultivate wholesome thoughts. We should cultivate wholesome thoughts. Wherever you are, whatever you do, you have to purify your mind. The intention is the most important thing. Your intention. According to doctrine, Chetanaham bhikkhave kammang vada. The intention, if your intention is pure and if your intention is genuine, then your action become genuine. Your actions become pure. With your pure intention, your words are pure. Your actions are pure. But with unwholesome thoughts, with unpure intention, if we do something with impure intention, words and actions are bad, not beautiful. That's why Lord Buddha mentioned Mind is the forerunner for everything. Mind is the foremost. Mind is the forerunner. We have to do always. We have to purify our mind. That is our responsibility. You cannot purify others' mind. You are the owner of your mind. I am the owner of my mind. If I want to purify my mind, I have to do that hardly. With good effort, I can purify my mind. But you are not energetic. If you are not energetic, with lack of energy, you can't do anything. That's why our great teacher here mentioned who is energetic and afraid of wrongdoing. Afraid of wrongdoing is often and continually called energetic and firm in the goal of ultimate freedom, Nibbana. Now you know very well how should we purify our mind. There is the way in this sutta, Charanta Sutta, there is the way how to purify your mind, how to cleanse your mind. There is the way. While you are walking, while you are sitting, while you are standing, or while you are lying down, when unwholesome thoughts arise in your mind, don't tolerate it. Na divaseti. Don't tolerate it. Pajahati. Give it up. As soon as possible, give it up. When bad thoughts arise in your mind, quickly give it up. Don't tolerate. Get rid of it. Vinodeti. Get rid of it. Eliminate it. Vyanti karote. Anubhavam gamete. Obliterate it. Brings it to an end. These are the 5 ways you should practice in your day-to-day life. According to Lord Buddha's teachings, we should keep those guidance in your mind and try to practice in our day-to-day life. This is the teachings of our great teacher, Lord Buddha. I'm sure you can understand what was the message in this sutta. How to overcome bad thoughts. How to stay away from unwholesome thoughts. How to purify our mind. To purify your mind, you should practice these 5 ways. Then definitely you can have a pure mind. You can have a balanced mind. You can have a beautiful mind. I think now time is over. Now the right time for the Q&A session. Let's move on to the Q&A session.
If you can raise your hands, I can ask you to unmute.
Thank you. I think I understand what you've said. I still find it really difficult there are corners of my mind that there are some people that I find extremely challenging to have goodwill. I know what I should do, but how to is my problem. And I also am left feeling like a failure. Yeah, I think that's, yes. So if you could make a comment on that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Understood. Yes, sometimes we have to face big challenges, not big, huge challenges in our life. Dealing with some people, some kinds of people, it is so difficult. That is true. That is the real truth. That's true. But according to doctrine, I would like to remind you we are the owner of our mind. We are compassion for us. You have compassion to you. If you are compassion to you, if I am compassion to me, I am trying to keep a happy mind. I am trying to balance peaceful mind. Then sometimes it is very difficult to have a happy mind. Then What we should do? We have to, really it is difficult, but we have to let it go and take some time. Let it go and take time. Then it can change to another way. It can change to, really it will change good way. You have to give it up from your mind, not outside object. You cannot give it up outside object. You cannot give it. But in our mind, we have craving. And sorry? Yeah. We are clinging to some object through our mind. Craving, clinging give us suffering. We should have to understand that point. Not easy to give up, not easy to give up. Something, some problem, not easy to give up. But we should analyze our mind. Why am I suffering? Why am I worried? Because I am clinging onto it. I am clinging onto it. I have craving for that. That's why I am worried. That's why I am suffering. If you want to get rid of it, if you want to get rid of, if you want to stay away from that, you may give it up. Don't keep for a long period of time. Don't keep in your mind. Try to stay in the present moment. You have to give it up. That is very difficult. Easy to say, but practically it is very difficult. It is a challenge. It is a challenge. But if you can practice, let go. If you can practice, let go. Give up. If you can practice, give up. That is a kind of vipassana meditation. Then you can free from worries. Then you can free from sufferings. You give it to them. Don't bring it to your mind. You have to practice it little by little. It is not easy, but we have to practice little by little. I hope it is clear. Do you want to any more clarification?
No. Thank you. No, that's
Okay. Yes, thank you so much for the talk. I am in a temporary challenging situation which brings up feelings of ill will. Is it better to give up the feelings or remove myself from the situation, or both? Nice, nice. Very good. Yeah. Which brings up feelings of ill will. It means dealing with anger. You should understand, first you understand the feeling. When you are dealing with anger, really you are not happy. I'll give you an example. Now, 45 minutes ago, we practiced breath meditation and loving kindness meditation. Then, at the time, did you feel worries? No, no worries at all. Why is that? We were maintain wholesome thoughts. Wholesome thoughts give you pleasant feelings. Wholesome thoughts every time give you pleasant feeling. But unwholesome thought like ill will give us unpleasant feeling. Unpleasant feeling. We do not like to keep unpleasant feelings in our mind. We do not like. Every being like to maintain pleasant feeling and neutral feeling. But we do not prefer to maintain unpleasant feeling. Then, first of all, we should have to understand our feelings. Then we can get rid of it. When you are dealing with unpleasant feeling, while you are dealing with anger, you get unpleasant feeling. Why we keep those unpleasant feeling with us? We don't want to maintain those unpleasant feelings. We have to give it up. Then firstly, you give it up your bad feelings. Bad feelings. You have to give it up your bad feeling. Then your bad situation, it become a good situation. When we are dealing with bad situation, with bad feelings, first we have to understand, recognize the feeling and give it up, that bad feeling. Throw away. You have to throw away. We have to get rid of it. Then your bad situation become a good situation. That is the way. It is a bit difficult because you have to analyze your mind. Feelings belongs to your mind. Then you should have to analyze your mind. Now I am dealing with bad feelings, unpleasant feelings. I want to remove these bad feelings. Then only you can give up that unpleasant feeling.
Sing loudly, boys and maidens, your hymn of praise today. 'Tis right that children's voices should plan in sweetest lay. Oh, praise the holy teacher who found the root of pain, and by his life triumphant, the power of self has slain. The power of self has slain. Come sing, ye boys and maidens, your hymn to the Lord. It was for all his children, his wisdom he outpoured.
That ends today's broadcast. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact us at info@buddhadharmatv.com. We work so hard to share the noble, peaceful, sublime teaching of Buddhas with you, helping you pursue the spiritual path under his wisdom. Please encourage and support those who's interested in the rational, enlightened teaching of Buddha. Thank you for watching. We believe our program on Buddha Dharma TV will inspire peace lovers around the globe. Good night. Namo Buddhaya.